This is Home Talk with home improvement expert Michael King on the USA Home Improvement Show Network. If you have a question or a comment concerning home improvement, new construction, renovations, or home repairs, Michael King will get you the answers. And now, back to Home Talk with the guru himself, Michael King.
Guys, that's right. Did you know the old Cajun Contractor now is the number one most recognizable name in all of home improvement radio? That's right, according to Apollo Media. My next guest is Mr. Carl Holt. He's president of Aero-Stream, manufacturers of septic aeration products that basically eliminate septic systems, septic tank problems, and that's what we're going to talk about. Hey, Carl, welcome to Home Talk USA. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great today, Michael. How are you?
You know Mo's saying if life was any better, I'd be scared to wake up in the morning, my friend. Did you know that? But, man, how did you get into this business?
Well, I guess it was out of necessity. I just didn't wake up one morning and say, I want to get into the septic system business. What had happened is I bought a used home, and it had a new septic system when I bought it, so like most homeowners out there, I thought, well, geez, it's got a brand new septic system. I don't have to worry about this the rest of my life. Well, about 14 years later, the system went into complete failure. And, I really didn't have any notice that it was failing. It just suddenly happened. So, I went through the standard process of getting quotes from contractors. I had soil testers out there to look at the situation, and the only solution that they had available was a replacement system, and they quoted that at about $15,000. They wanted to tear up my yard, cut down my trees, tear off my decks, and put in a new system. Well, at that point in time, I didn't have the $15,000 to fix it, so I decided, well, I'm going to try to fix it myself. So I went at it, and based on my engineering background, did research on the internet and discovered aerobic treatment and really applied the technology used in municipal wastewater treatment plants to the home septic system, primarily for restoration. So that's kind of how I got started in it. After it had failed that spring of 2002, there was a graduation party I went to in the neighborhood and was telling my woes to my friends and trying to get some sympathy out of them, but really didn't get a whole lot of sympathy. It was kind of, too bad for you, I guess. And then the next time I saw them, a month later, they said, well, did you replace your septic system? I said, well, no, I fixed it. And, I kind of explained what I did, and they said, well, my septic system doesn't work too well. Do you think you can fix mine? And I said, well, I could try. So before you know it, I had 10 trials underway that first summer, and they were all successful, and at that point it kind of dawned on me that I might have something commercially viable, and applied for a U.S. patent and launched the business in late 2002 or early 2003. So that's kind of how I got into it, by necessity.
That's an amazing story. Now, can you share with my listeners what does the septic system saver actually do for a septic system?
Right. Well, a septic system goes through a natural aging process, and it develops what's called a biomat. And what our product does is it eliminates that natural aging process of the growth of that biomat and restores the full functionality of that system. So on average, a septic system is going to last about 15 to 20 years, across the U.S. Some will fail in 5 years, others will last 30 years, but again, the average is 15 to 20. So, it's inevitable that your septic system is going to fail, so you can use our product to prevent that failure, or if you didn't learn about our product soon enough, you can use it to restore that system and make it, fully functional like it did when it was first installed.
Can you, how does a convention septic system actually work, though?
Well, in a conventional septic system, they're called anaerobic bacteria. So that's bacteria that lives without the presence of oxygen. So, it's naturally occurring in the waste stream, and every time you flush the commode, you put a bunch of bacteria in there. Well, when that bacteria is in the tank, it does about 30 to 40% of the wastewater treatment inside the tank, which means that the drain field is doing 60 to 70% of the work. So that undigested organic material that's going out to the drain field is the food source for this biomat to live on. Remember, the biomat's a living organism. It's a layer of anaerobic bacteria and its byproduct. So, over that 15 to 20 years, that biomat is constantly being fed every time you flush the commode or use the bathtub, shower, and eventually it seals off the soil pores.
Carl, hold that thought right there. We got to take a short break. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Got to take a hard break. Hey, you're listening to Home Talk USA. Come back with Carl Holt, president of Aero-Stream. Always support your local independent hardware stores and garden centers. And let's pledge to hire a vet today. Pledge the number 2vets.com. Y'all come back now. You hear? Yay! All right, we're talking to Carl Holt. He's president of Aero-Stream. We're talking about this septic system saver that can really repair and really help eliminate septic systems and septic tank problems. And it's a costly problem. And it's like Carl said, it's not if your system will fail. Like you said, Carl, it's when it's going to fail, because eventually we were talking about, how does a convention system actually work, and he was explaining to us about, the organism inside that eats up, and, it's been doing that for, 15, 20 years. And so let's pick up from that conversation and explain thoroughly how this works.
Right. Okay. So, as I was saying, the biological process in that standard septic system only does 30 to 40% of the work. The drain field and the soil out there is doing 60 to 70% of the work, and that biomat grows out in that soil around the drain field and clogs the soil pores. So it's kind of biomat that grows out there, that living organism. It's kind of analogous to a swimming pool liner, an in-ground swimming pool, whereas the biomat is the vinyl liner. The swimming pool just has clean water in it. Your drain field will end up with saturated soil, and that biomat seals that soil pores and holds that water in it, just like that vinyl liner does. So what we need to do is eliminate that biomat, that vinyl liner, and make that system drain into the soil like it's originally supposed to do.
Now, how long does, how does a septic system, how long will it last? I guess that's what I'm saying. And say, what happens when they fail?
Yeah. Well, like I mentioned earlier, in the U.S., the average life is about 15 to 20 years, and, there's quite a range on it. And, that range is really dependent on the soil conditions, how well the system was designed, how well it was installed. All of those things kind of are the variables that determine how long that system will last. One of the other big things, too, is how is that system treated or mistreated and maintained. But when they fail, they generally fail what appears to be catastrophically. So last week, everything's working fine. You have no idea. And then you wake up on Monday morning and the toilets won't flush, or you have water pooling above the ground, or you get backups in the house, those kind of things. So those are kind of the symptoms. Now, it does appear that they fail suddenly like that, but what happens is over that 15, 20-year lifespan, they're getting older and older, and they have less hydraulic capacity. So, say the drain field was designed to treat 450 gallons of wastewater a day. Over time, that 450 gallons is going to be reduced. It'll go to 400, 350, 300, 200, and, keep declining. So as long as the drain field has enough hydraulic capacity, getting rid of the wastewater that you're putting into it, you don't know that you have a problem. But as soon as the outflow through the drain field matches the flow coming in, so now the drain field gets rid of 200 gallons of water a day, you're using 201 gallons of water a day. That means that every day an extra gallon of water is going into that system that isn't going out through the drain field. It accumulates over a period of time, and that's when the tank levels get elevated. You get backups into the house. You'll get pooling water above the tank or above the drain field. So those are kind of the symptoms that people experience when the system goes through failure.
All right, we're going to have to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to finish up with Carl Holt. Maybe we can talk about how this septic system saver can actually correct the problem. I think that's what we're only going to have time for. But, hey, we hope you stay with us here on the Home Improvement Broadcasting Network. We are streaming live on the World Wide Web at HometalkUSA.com. Check out our online stream. And it's located at the top right of the website. You see an on-air button, and all you have to do is click. I'm the Cajun Man. Y'all come back now. You hear? Yeah.
Welcome back to Home Talk USA with home improvement expert, the Cajun contractor, Michael King, on the Home Improvement Broadcasting Network. And now, back to Home Talk USA with the Cajun contractor, Michael King.
This final segment. Hey, we're talking to Carl Holt, president of Aero-Stream. We're talking about the septic system saver. Now, Carl, just for the break, you was explaining, what happens and how does it work, and also, I guess we can talk about how basically this corrects the problem.
The anaerobic process is not very efficient in the tank. So when you convert the system over to aerobic, what we do is induce air and oxygen directly into the septic tank. That creates an aerobic environment to keep the naturally occurring aerobic bacteria alive. After you convert it, you do 90% of the wastewater cleansing in the septic tank, which means the drain field only has to do 10% of the work. So really what you're doing is you're starving that biomat of a food source. And like any other living organism in nature, cut off its food source, it starves, it dies. In this case, it breaks down, becomes permeable. So the installation of the product takes about an hour just using simple hand tools. The vast majority of our customers install it themselves. We've got installation guy that comes with the product, and we've got free unlimited tech support. So there really hasn't been a system that the homeowner hasn't been able to install themselves. If they don't want to do it, a lot of times they'll hire a local handyman or a local plumber to give them a hand on the installation of the product. As far as what kind of results do you see? Most homeowners see some pretty significant results in about a 6 to 8 week period. Some remarkably fast, as little as a couple weeks. The elevated tank levels will be back to normal. You'll be able to flush the commode. Cooling water will be gone on the ground surface, all those kind of things. So it's an all-natural process. It does take a little time to work, but after you get it installed, start cleaning up that system, it's going to do a great job and restore that system without spending $15,000 on average to replace it.
All right, my friend, we're out of time. There's the music. I got to step away. That about does it for this hour of Home Talk. Hey, give us a website. How can we learn more information about the septic system saver?
Yeah, you can visit the Septic System Saver website, www.septicsystemsaver.net, and you can always call us at 1-800-969-8795. So feel free to call us with any questions or problems you're having with the system. We'll get you taken care of.
The Septic System Saver.net. Just spell it out. Thank you, Carl Holt. Thank you for being our guest on Home Talk.
All right, thanks, Michael.
All right, thank you for listening to this hour of Home Talk. Got 1 in the can and 2 to go here on the Home Improvement Broadcasting Network, streaming live on the World Wide Web at HometalkUSA.com. This is the Cajun Man. Y'all come back now. You hear? Yeah.